The story opens with an old video recording, dated June 19, 1990. Inside a strange yellow-painted building, the terrified man moves cautiously through the halls while breathing heavily in panic. Desperate to find a way out, he notices a cable running across the floor and follows it, only to realize it leads absolutely nowhere. The fear in his voice continues to grow as he searches the unsettling location. Moments later, he discovers a box and quickly drags it over to block a nearby doorway before hiding behind a collection of musical instruments. Hoping someone can still hear him, he nervously steps toward a microphone and begins calling out to his friends for help. When no response comes back, he desperately explains where he is and begs them to come rescue him. Out of nowhere, a strange sound echoes from another room. The frightened man slowly approaches to investigate, only to discover it was just a bird making the noise. Relieved for only a second, he continues deeper into the building, where he suddenly encounters a terrifying creature that immediately charges after him. He rushes into another room and slams the door shut behind him. But while trying to secure a second entrance, the mysterious entity catches up and violently attacks him as his horrifying screams echo through the building. The story then shifts to a young woman and a child quietly staring at fingerprints little Mary pressed. Years later, that same woman, now known as Mary Klein, watches an old building being demolished while reflecting on how people often repeat the same habits and routines over and over, convincing themselves each attempt will somehow lead to a different outcome. Elsewhere in Santa Clara Valley, we are introduced to Clark, a stressed-out furniture store owner struggling to keep both his business and personal life together. Recently divorced and drowning in financial problems, Clark runs a failing furniture shop called Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire, while also dealing with bizarre electrical problems happening throughout the store. After work, Clark attends a therapy session with Dr. Mary Klein, where he opens up about his frustrations. He talks about feeling completely alone, admits his marriage fell apart because of his own anger issues, and reveals that despite being kicked out, he's still paying for the house. Clark explains how one bad night at work pushed him over the edge, leading to an argument at home where he smashed a glass in frustration. He continues venting about the pressure of constantly paying bills while feeling unsupported, even mentioning the sacrifices he made financially for his wife over the years, and paying his wife's school fees. Later, Clark heads back to his store to film a commercial for the business, though the chaotic shoot nearly leaves him injured. Afterwards, while checking emails in his office, he's interrupted by an electrician who claims the building's wiring appears completely normal despite the constant blackouts, flickering lights, and unusually expensive power bills Clark has been dealing with while secretly living inside the warehouse. Still suspicious, Clark asks the electrician to inspect the breaker box more carefully. During the inspection, they discover 3 oddly installed breaker switches that seem completely disconnected from the rest of the building's electrical system, making the situation even more unsettling. That same night, both Mary and Clark are shown separately watching television in their homes when the power suddenly cuts out. Clark immediately checks for the problem but finds nothing unusual. Moments later, the electricity briefly returns, though the lights continue flickering violently before shutting off once again. Unable to relax, Clark later drives to his former home and silently watches the house from outside, lost in thought. The following day, Clark attends another therapy session before returning home later that evening to relax in front of the television. While watching a program, the screen suddenly flashes to a strange yellow room for a split second before immediately switching back like nothing happened. The disturbing image instantly convinces Clark that something unnatural is happening inside the building. Determined to investigate on his own, he heads down into the basement to inspect the fuse box once again. While searching around, he notices a mysterious beam of light shining through the wall and accidentally slips through it, discovering a hidden passage into the back rooms for the very first time. Completely stunned, Clark quickly exits the strange dimension just to process what happened, but curiosity immediately pulls him back inside to confirm it was real. As he cautiously explores the eerie endless hallways, he notices impossible architecture, warped spaces, and even a gigantic pile of furniture strangely resembling the displays from his own showroom. While wandering deeper into the unsettling maze, Clark discovers a statue broadcasting an old audio recording. Nearby, he finds a doorway leading to abandoned belongings that once belonged to Noreen Warren, the async researcher who disappeared during the terrifying opening sequence. Clark continues moving through another section of the endless structure when he suddenly hears a distant sound echoing through the halls. Curious, he slowly approaches the noise, but before going too far, he notices something disturbing lurking nearby and immediately decides to retreat. Unfortunately, the terrifying skeletal creature known as the life form begins chasing after him. Clark rushes back toward the spot where he originally entered the back rooms, only to discover the wall has somehow become completely solid. After a tense escape attempt, Clark barely manages to force his way back into his basement and survive the encounter. Before leaving for good, he quickly grabs a piece of furniture from the strange dimension and carries it back with him. Unknown to Clark, that someone secretly witnessed the entire event through nearby CCTV cameras. Later that same day, Clark visits Dr. Mary Klein again and desperately tries to explain everything he experienced. He compares the place to an endless subway system or an impossible maze that stretches forever. But Mary dismisses the story as a severe stress-related breakdown, especially considering Clark recently stopped drinking. Frustrated and desperate to prove he is telling the truth, Clark promises he will return with evidence and make her apologize for doubting him. The moment he leaves therapy, Clark recruits his employees, Kat and Bobby, convincing them to help investigate the anomaly hidden beneath the store. He asks them to bring a VHS camcorder so they can document everything as proof, presenting the dangerous mission as research while promising extra overtime pay. A few hours later, the group prepares for the expedition, though Clark continues insisting this is all part of an important research project. Kat and Bobby laugh nervously when Clark claims he can literally walk through the basement wall, but their reactions quickly change when he suddenly steps straight through it in front of them. Completely shocked, the two hesitate in fear, but Clark encourages them to follow him inside. Once they finally enter the strange dimension, they find themselves trapped inside the massive endless halls alongside Clark, who insists he is only trying to understand what this place really is. Kat, however, immediately feels uneasy about the entire situation. As they travel deeper into the back rooms, Clark ties a rope around Bobby for safety before sending him further into the darkness with a camera to continue exploring the mysterious underground maze. As Bobby continues exploring the endless halls with a camera, he discovers piles of abandoned clothing scattered across the floor, making the entire place feel even more disturbing. While recording everything around him, he eventually enters a room filled with flickering lights. The moment he gets closer, he hears a horrifying noise echoing from the darkness and immediately sprints away in panic. After climbing back up, Bobby frantically warns Clark that something dangerous is lurking below. But before anyone can react properly, the rope attached to Bobby suddenly tightens and violently drags him backward. Clark and Kat desperately try pulling him back to safety, but the unseen force proves too powerful. Bobby is dragged into the darkness screaming, and moments later Clark and Kat are attacked as well. Blood suddenly appears across the area as the chaos unfolds. Kat rushes deeper into the maze trying to save Bobby, but she seemingly disappears too. Completely terrified, Clark begins searching desperately for the exit, only to realize he no longer remembers where he originally entered from. While wandering aimlessly, he comes across a strange room decorated with a Christmas tree. Suddenly, a mysterious woman begins approaching him. Clark instantly runs, but no matter how far he goes, the endless halls make it feel like he is trapped in a never-ending loop with no escape. A short while later, Clark hears Kat's voice crying out to him from somewhere beyond the walls. The problem is they cannot tell which direction the voice is coming from. Just then, someone or something picks up the abandoned camera and slowly moves toward Clark. The story then flashes back to a younger version of Mary, staring curiously out a window before her mother rushes in and warns her never to go outside near what she calls the awful pool place. Mary suddenly wakes up from the memory and stares once again at the same fingerprints from earlier. During this moment, she receives a mysterious phone call telling her to open the window because it won't be coming back. The next morning, Mary drives to Clark's furniture store. Around the same time, another scene shows a family casually watching television while Clark's furniture commercial plays on screen, though one man watches the advertisement with unusual interest. Back at the store, Mary searches for Clark but finds the building completely empty. She eventually heads down into the basement where she discovers Clark's detailed maps of the backrooms along with the door signs he previously created. As she investigates further, Mary notices a fly casually passing straight through the wall itself. Shocked beyond belief, she carefully places her hand through the surface and realizes Clark was telling the truth all along. Despite the danger, Mary decides to enter the strange dimension in search of him. She wanders through the endless halls for quite some time before finally hearing Clark's voice telling her she finally made it. He soon steps out from the shadows, looking mentally unstable and exhausted. Mary asks why he has been hiding, but Clark avoids answering directly. When she asks where exactly they are, Clark mysteriously replies that the place is everywhere they've ever been. Before Clark can explain further, a loud noise echoes through the halls. He immediately tells Mary to stay calm, but once the sound stops, Clark suddenly attacks her and chokes her unconscious. The story briefly flashes back again to young Mary watching hospital workers take her mother into a medical ward. From there, the scene transitions into endless identical rooms stretching deeper and deeper, like an infinite maze repeating itself forever. When Mary regains consciousness, she finds Clark calmly serving food to another man while casually explaining his twisted view of the backrooms. Clark admits everything is a complete mess, yet strangely beautiful at the same time. As Mary questions the motionless people sitting nearby, Clark explains that the backroom somehow remembers people the longer they stay there, though eventually it begins forgetting parts of them. He even mentions someone deeper inside who is remembered incorrectly. Mary tries convincing Clark they can still fix things together, but Clark refuses to listen. Instead, he demonstrates that the people surrounding them barely react to pain or emotion anymore. According to Clark, they simply exist now like pieces of furniture. To Mary's horror, Clark reveals that he has even begun eating them to survive. When he opens a nearby refrigerator, Mary discovers Clark's assistant manager trapped inside, causing her to panic and beg Clark to let her go. Clark instead demands validation, insisting he did nothing wrong, especially regarding the argument that destroyed his marriage. Distracted by his delusions, he removes hair from one of the lifeless women nearby and places it onto Mary, pretending she is his wife while apologizing for everything that happened between them. He continues rambling about how he paid for everything in the relationship, including school and living expenses. Eventually, Mary snaps and tells Clark the real problem is that he refuses to take responsibility for his own actions, constantly blaming everyone else for his failures. Clark quietly asks how he is supposed to stop being who he is, but Mary tells him that choice is entirely up to him. After thinking for a moment, Clark admits he does not actually want to change. In fact, he claims the back rooms make him feel like he finally belongs somewhere. Mary calmly tells him that is fine, but he still needs to let her leave. Surprisingly, Clark agrees. But the moment he frees her, the woman behind him suddenly runs off, triggering a loud noise throughout the building. Seconds later, a massive creature appears. Instead of panicking, Clark introduces Mary to the monster, as if it were completely normal. The creature suddenly grabs Clark, violently bites into him, and throws him aside. Mary uses the distraction to escape into another section of the room, though she quickly becomes lost once again. The monster relentlessly chases after her as she runs through hallway after hallway while struggling to breathe. In a desperate attempt to escape, Mary trips and injures herself just as the creature closes in. She barely manages to flee into another massive structure filled with endless staircases and interconnected rooms. Eventually, she stumbles into an area that strangely resembles Clark's furniture store, but before she can process it, the creature finds her again and slowly approaches. Mary fights back by injuring the monster's legs, but during the struggle, she accidentally triggers a device that releases a strange gas into the air. The exposure immediately begins weakening her while the creature attacks once more. Using a rock hidden in her pocket, Mary fights the creature off long enough to force herself through another wall while a monster struggles to follow. On the other side, masked individuals immediately spray her with gas before dragging her away into a facility filled with other people. Hours later, Mary undergoes several examinations before being placed inside another room. Eventually, a doctor named Phil arrives and begins questioning her about how she entered the backrooms. When Mary explains she came through Clark's furniture store, Phil shows her photographs of both the store and Clark himself before revealing that their organization originally worked on MRI machines before accidentally discovering the backrooms. Phil explains they still know very little about the strange dimension, despite discovering countless hidden doors connected to it. As he speaks, the story cuts between various rooms, missing person posters, and locations that resemble an ordinary town hiding something much darker beneath the surface. The final moments then reveal what appears to be Mary sitting alone, except something about her appearance now seems disturbingly unnatural. The movie then came to an end. Kindly subscribe for more recap like this. Thanks for watching and goodbye.